What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of RAW and UNCUT New York Sports, where we talk about the Mets, the Nets, and the Giants. In today's episode, we're going to be recapping this terrible 3-game series versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Look, I hate losing to Philadelphia sports. Nothing worse in my eyes than losing to the Phillies, the Eagles, the 76ers. They got one of the most passionate fan bases in sports. But for me, being a New York Mets fan, all I think about when we play the Phillies is 2007, 2008. It's just filled with bad memories. We've had some good battles in the past. And the Phillies have just pretty much always found a way to torment me. And I hate it with a passion, losing to the Phillies. I cannot stand it. We're 7-15, dating back to 2019 versus the Phillies. This 3-game set, we got swept. That makes it 5 in a row that the Phillies have now beaten the Mets. And this is exactly why, before this series started, I thought that stealing Game 1 from the Phillies was really important, because for one, we were going to throw out DeGrom, but then he got scratched, right? And so we throw out there Tyler Lockett. All good. The Phillies are throwing out there Spencer Howard, their rookie. And, as much talk as there is around that kid, that's a game that we really should have won, and it was a must-have game. Number one, because the season, we're getting into crunch time now. We're past 1/3 of the way through the season, so now the games become more important. And then in this specific series against the Phillies, with the Phillies throwing out Nola and Zach Wheeler in games 2 and 3, where it's a season where we've had a lot of trouble hitting off those two guys was going to be hard, and it proved to be hard. So, Game 1 was definitely a must-have in my eyes, and we found a way to lose that game. We were down, we were up, we were down again. We couldn't ask for a more perfect throw from Michael Conforto. I don't know what happened there on that throw. Well, I know what happened on the throw. The tag was the issue. Wilson Ramos just continues to find a way to hurt the New York Mets. He's been doing it with his bat most of the season, and now he found a way to let us lose with his defense. Just a slow reaction to the tag on Quinn, I guess. I don't know what the fuck his excuse was, but Wilson Ramos really has, found a way to not be a big contributor. As big of a guy he is, he's a very small contributor this year, and it's pretty upsetting. We move on to Game 2. Steven Matz on the mound. Again, Aaron Nola throwing for the Phillies. And I'll be honest with you, Steven Matz looked better through 4 innings only. He looked better, but he ran into trouble again in the 5th inning. The Steven Matz project has to be a project that the Mets should be done with. And, a lot of the Mets' decisions going forward hinges on ownership and general manager next year. Because we don't know who the owners are going to be, and we don't know who the general manager is going to be. But Steven Matz has proven that he is just not a major league level pitcher. The guy has about a 14.66 ERA in August. He's got the second worst ERA in baseball right now. He's given up the most home runs. He's got the most earned runs allowed. It's very difficult to watch this guy pitch. His pitches continue to be flat. Like, there's no improvement from start to start with Steven Matz. And that's what really makes it upsetting. That's what really makes me say, that's it. This Steven Matz project is done. Like, there's nothing that he is doing to improve his stock. Like, we haven't seen a start that maybe says, oh, okay, there's a Steven Matz that, we all wish we saw. He just hasn't had it. And there's other guys on the team, in the system, that we can call up and give a shot to. So, Steven Matz, put him in the bullpen, put him, send him to Brooklyn. I don't know, man. So, that's pretty much, there's not much you can say with Steven Matz. It is what it is. His starts have been terrible. There's nothing to look forward to with that guy. So that's that. And obviously, game 3, we throw Rick Porcello out there. And Rick Porcello, I'll say this about Porcello. His numbers may not look all that great. And they're not. If we expected him to be a 2016 Cy Young type of pitcher again, then we were dead wrong. I know I didn't. There's just no way he was going to put up those numbers. He's had decent stretches in his starts. He really falls apart in innings 1 and 3, and after that he kind of settles down nicely. So, in Sunday's game, he fell apart in the 5th inning, and he just leaves balls up in the zone and allows a string of hits at times. You know what I mean? So he gets it together, in kind of in the middle of the game, but in the start of the games, he really puts himself behind the 8-ball, and it'll allow a run or two, and then obviously the bats being anemic, they don't get many hits and they don't score many. We just fall behind and we just never make it out of that hole. So Rick Porcello really needs to be perfect almost, not give up a run for us to really have a chance. But he hasn't been terrible. His 3 August starts haven't been that awful. He's given up a lot of hits, but he hasn't walked any in August alone. So the $10 million, it's not worth it to me right now with Porcello, but I think he's given us decent outings here as of late in terms of not walking batters and not giving up a lot of earned runs. That kind of switches me over to Luis Rojas. This is a pretty unfair season to really judge Luis Rojas. He's made some bonehead decisions. You can tell some decisions are, come with the inexperience of Rojas. I think he can work out for the Mets next season, but I would like to see, and this has been the case with the Mets in the past, is that I don't see much of the pitching coach, in this case Jeremy Hefner, or the manager, in this case Rojas, going out to the mound and talking to the pitchers when they get into jams. For example, yesterday Matz got into trouble. He walked the bases loaded. Nobody came out to talk to him. He gives up a bases loaded walk, and Hefner comes out to talk to him. Knowing how Matz has been pitching this season, knowing how this, obviously, Matt's mental is all screwed up, wouldn't a good time to come out and talk to him be when, heck, even when he had runners on first and second? Come out and talk to the guy. The catch is not enough. We need the manager out there, or Hefner, to talk to the guy. And then today, when Porcello gave up the tying run when the Phillies tied it at 2. They want to come. Hefner wants to come out there and talk to Porcello. So, and Porcello was pretty much cruising the whole game, right? Like, Porcello hasn't showed anything that Matz has shown all season. So, and not that I'm arguing against coming out talking to Porcello, that's fine. But I think the timing of it was just not executed well. So that's my beef there. Rojas also pinch hit Rosario for Jimenez today. I didn't see any value in doing that, especially late in the game when we're trying to, get some runners on base. Rosario's just not a guy that's cutting it right now. Rojas has, I said it last week, Rojas has a tough decision to make. And it's only going to get tougher now because now you got to play. We're at a point where Rojas has to evaluate the way this team is playing and play the best hitters right now, the best players, your more productive players. Whoever is hitting at the time, you have to hit them. Whoever's not making the errors, those are the guys you got to play on the field. So Rosario is one of those players that unfortunately he's not producing, and that's okay because we do have what I consider a deep roster, a lot of interchangeable players. So, sit his ass out, bring in Jimenez. You got Guillorme, who's fucking raking for us. You got Dom Smith, who is on an incredible streak. Four straight games with the home run. That guy leads the team in home runs, RBIs, doubles, and extra base hits. A guy that has not played as much as, let's say, Pete Alonso, who's struggling. I mean, Dom Smith, his last 7 games, he's 10 for 28, batting .357, .419 on base percentage, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs. That's what we need right now. We need guys that are going to produce. Cano came back. He needs to be in the lineup. Conforto every day in the lineup. When McNeil comes back, you play McNeil. Nimmo, his batting average ain't that high, but his on base is fucking great, and you need that at the top of the lineup. So we're at a point, or Luis Rojas is really at a point where there's no time to waste. And you got to play your best players, the players that are producing for you. So let's hope we see a different Mets team going into this Marlins series, because it could be over pretty quick for us. We play the Marlins up next, and then we got the Yankees after that for the weekend series. So things could get really ugly come after next Sunday. And, speaking of Pete Alonso, I don't know what's wrong with Pete Alonso. The follow-up to last season was going to be tough. Obviously, with a shortened season, things change a little more. But he just hasn't, he needs a little bit of time on the bench, I think. I mean, I don't know what he needs, really, to be honest with you. It's to a point where I believe he's just not seeing the ball well enough. Like, I saw a stat, the off-speed pitches that he's swinging and missing at in the zone in 2020 is 33.3%. In 2019, it was 19%. Okay, so I know that Keith Hernandez a few weeks ago mentioned, Alonso's mechanics, like he's swinging down on the ball, which I believe it can be. He's just not seeing the ball. That's all it is. He's making contact. He's just not. He's just missing a lot of other times too. You know what I mean? Like his whiff rate is so much higher on fastballs, breaking balls, and off-speed pitches than this season than it was in 2019. So he's getting pitches to hit in the zone. He's just plain missing them. And his offense, his glove work hasn't been terrible. It hasn't been great. But again, we're at a point of a season where we need guys that are going to hit, drive in runs, and produce in the lineup every day. And Pete Alonso, unfortunately, falls into that bracket where he's really not producing. He's got that's a tough batting average to look at. When you look at Alonso, you like the kid because he, of everything he says, and, he looks like a really good guy. But at the end of the day, man, we need some results. And at this point, we shouldn't care who you are, what your name is. We need to be playing the best players. And that kind of leads me into, something else. Not to pick on Alonso and Rosario, but this Mets lineup just doesn't. It's number one, it's not built right. Okay, we have not built the right team, because we have a bunch of, besides our great team on base percentage, we have a horrible batting average with runners in scoring position. And that's really been the story of the season. It's funny because the bullpen was the issue the first 2 weeks of the season, right? Where we couldn't fucking hold the lead. And that got fixed. And then our batting average with runners in scoring position hasn't been fixed. Through 23 games, it has not been fixed. So I don't know if we can fix that in 60 games. But here's what I wanted to say. The Mets, this is not a good lineup. The Mets batting against the top of the rotation pitchers, they cannot hit other teams' 1 and 2 pitchers. Like the first game of the season, we couldn't score off Mike Soroka. We only got 4 hits off him. Remember, Cespedes didn't hit that home run off of Soroka. Okay, and then the next game, the Braves throw out Max Fried, and we get 2 runs on 2 hits. Okay, this lineup that was supposed to be really good does that the first 2 games. Okay, then we go to the next series versus the Red Sox. They have no aces, so we'll just skip them. Okay, then we play the fucking Nationals. We play and we face Patrick Corbin. Okay, 3 runs against him the first time we see him. Okay, and that was a loss. The following game was Scherzer. We scored 1 run, but he only pitched 1 inning, right? And then the bullpen, the crappy Nationals bullpen, we only score 1 run versus that Washington Nationals bullpen. Okay? So far we haven't had a good game against a 1-2 of other teams' rotation. The next series against the Marlins, we face a guy, Humberto Mejia, okay, who hasn't pitched a single game higher than single A, and he goes 2 1/3 and struck out 6 Mets batters. I mean, he fucking owned us. Okay? Other than that, we took the next 2 games versus the Marlins versus pitchers that I bet you Marlin fans couldn't even tell you what their names were. Are you seeing a trend here? The next series, we play the Washington Nationals again. We face Patrick Corbin for the second time. This is when the Nationals put up 16 runs on us. The Mets lineup got 2 runs and 5 hits off of him. Okay, we went on to score 2 more runs after that. Next game, Scherzer. Oh look, 6 hits, 1 run on Max Scherzer. Okay, we didn't get to face Strasburg either time because he's been hurt, or Lord knows we would have probably been no hit by Strasburg. All right, so you see the trend here, and back to this weekend, we faced Spencer Howard. We put up some runs. We put ourselves in position to win. 4 runs, 7 hits on the rookie, and then combined against Nola and Wheeler, we put up a total of 4 runs on both days, and we get swept out of fucking Philly. So there's a trend there. This lineup, if we haven't figured it out through 23 games, then I really doubt that we'll figure it out in time. We may figure it out, but we won't figure it out in time. So, I really, I'm pretty disappointed with this Mets lineup. And, I've come to the conclusion that it's just not fucking built right. So, we'll see what the Mets do. A little bit of trade deadline fear. I kind of fear what the Mets will do. I personally believe that they should stand pat. Do not make a move. If you make a move, it should be, it should be to replenish the farm system a little bit. But I fear, my trade deadline fear is that, I don't know what Brody and the Wilpons are thinking. And I'm scared that they will try to make a move to make a run at this thing and give up something that the Mets shouldn't give up at this point. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I personally think the Mets shouldn't make a move at all. So we'll see what they do there. But the Mets. Look, the Mets are gonna Mets. They've that much we know. They're not gonna fucking make the right decisions sometimes. And they're not gonna make it with the right intentions. So, looking forward, like I said earlier, we got the Marlins for 4 games starting Monday, and then we got the Yankees for the weekend series. As of now, the Marlins and the Braves are tied for first. The Phillies are 2 back. The Nationals are 3 back. The Mets are 4 back. Look, 4 back is not bad. Look, especially when you got to play within, nothing but division games. If you win, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 every time, you can make some fucking ground. So 4 games back is not terrible considering the circumstances that the Mets are in. But, Atlanta can rake. Miami, they've cooled off a little bit maybe, but nonetheless, they're still playing pretty well. The Phillies, like I said before, I believe if the Phillies figure out their bullpen issues, their bats can put up 5, 6, 7 runs a game easy. They got some horses, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. So, I think that team can make a run for the division. The Nationals, I don't trust a lot. Strasburg's been out for most of the year. Scherzer, I don't know if he's healthy. They just lost Castro. So, they got Juan Soto, but that lineup is kind of hurting now without Rendon. We're kind of seeing, what Rendon meant to that lineup. I think they lost the series to the fucking Orioles. Now we got to be scared of the fucking Orioles too. The Orioles swept the Phillies earlier this season, and they took 2 out of 3, I think, from the Nationals this weekend. So, Jesus Christ, that's what the Mets have to look forward to, I guess. That's gonna be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Talking some Mets. It's not always sunny in Queens, but we got to talk about the Mets. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recap of our weekend series against the Phillies. Into the next one, keep it raw and uncut.